take a very clear stance on the atrocity that we see taking place right now in Gaza and the need for immediate recognition of the Palestinian state. No, I will speak in English because we have foreign guests here, but you can put on your headphones. You know, the language, I appreciate the interaction, but this is the type of patriotism that we do not need in this country, to pretend that because somebody gives a speech out of respect to our foreign dignitaries, that this makes us less Greek. What makes us more Greek is wanting to offer our good self, to offer public service to people without trying to profit out of the pockets of the Greek people. And that is our policy and my policy. But thank you for your comment. Dear former President of the French Republic, dear friend of Greece, François Hollande, dear political leaders, ministers and members of parliament, representatives of European institutions, main presidents and representatives of European chambers and unions, dear presidents of the Athens Chamber of Tradesmen and the General Confederation of Professional Craftsmen and Merchants of Greece, honorable organizers, and dear friends Yannis Hatzidossiou and George Kavathas. Dear friends, I too would like to welcome our dear President Hollande, the friend who showed himself in difficult times, the man who honored the principles of Greek-French friendship, the politician who contributed, together with Alexis Tsipras, to making Greece. Do you mind being a little quieter at that table over there, please? Do you mind paying attention to the speech? Thank you. To making Greece a part of the solution instead of part of the crisis. It has become evident many times over the past decade, but also during recent crises, that the problem was not Greek. The problem was and is Europe-wide. Our people, the Greek people, had to be tested and tested hard so that more people would realize, and I think they are now a majority, that the solution is not for everyone to look at their own house, solely at their own backyard. The solution is common economic policies, solidarity, mutually beneficial initiatives, which also give real meaning to the European Union. In 2015 and the subsequent years, we achieved stability in the region, social cohesion, social peace. And we must continue on this path to build a better, more cohesive, more inclusive, more humane Europe. And I would also like to commend the chambers today, not only for today's event, but also for their constant and sincere battle that they are waging for their members, for the survival and the progress of the industry, for the development of the economy, for the prosperity of society. Our dear friends, Yannis and George, are truly working hard to transform Greek small and medium-sized enterprises from part of the crisis, as the new democracy government is trying to portray them, frankly, into part of the solution in a difficult international context. And to be clear, Minister, and again, I thank you for giving me your spot, I don't question the motives of anybody in the current government. I'm sure that you too want whatever is best for all Greek people. I question the efficacy of your policies. And I think the efficacy of your policies is such that truly strangles small and medium-sized enterprises. And I hear that every day that I'm out in society, unfiltered and without any agenda, but to listen, to pay attention, and to try to come up with creative solutions that reflect the angst that people are facing. We, in Syriza Progressive Alliance, declare our support to these small and medium-sized enterprises and to the Greek economy as a whole, which is experiencing the effects of these tough, neoliberal, stringent government choices. And especially in a context of large domestic and international challenges and crises, such as the ones that President Hollande mentioned in his speech. These are crises which New Democracy, the government, cannot and does not want, to put it more correctly, to deal with. On the contrary, it exploits those crises to implement its strategy, leaving behind large parts of society and the economy, serving a model of violent and absolute concentration of economic activity in a few hands. You want proof of that? Look at the record profits that the publicly traded companies are producing versus the deposits that people have in the banks that are going down month after month. We are seeing a true discrepancy between Wall Street and Main Street in this country like we've never seen before. This is jeopardizing the future. And the government presents as growth, a small growth, a limited growth of the GDP that concerns only a few sectors, which is frankly unsustainable and lays the foundations of the next crisis. And at the heart of their choices is a so-called plan named after one of their ministers, advisors, the Pisarides plan, which directly articulates the goal of concentrating economic activity and further squeezing what we call middle class, the middle class. And obviously those options are not conducive to growth. According to data from 47 countries, overconcentration by a small number of very large companies is associated with slower economic growth. Small and mid-sized enterprises are faced with an extortionate take it or leave it dilemma, ultimatum. And Mr. Mitsotakis' message is either you surrender to the giant companies or you disappear via his policies. He let the energy crisis fall on SMEs. Energy costs increased by 21%, according to one of the association's research institute's data. He welcomed the exclusion of 96% of businesses from bank lending and ignored the country's championship in the interest rate differential. This country that has absorbed 40 billion euro of losses in recapitalizing its banks has some of the most profitable banks in Europe right now, with one of the biggest differentials between deposits and loans and the biggest fees on transactions. And that is a fact, and that is a political choice, ladies and gentlemen. He left them mired in private debt and illiquidity, squeezed by high indirect and direct taxes, the second highest indirect taxes in Europe after Sweden, leading to a purchasing power just above Bulgaria's. He excluded them from the Resilience and Recovery Fund and the so-called co-finance programs. He blocked the repayment of public debts to them. He derided them as tax evaders and imposed on them the predatory head tax, which deducts 750 million euro from the middle class annually. The evidence that has come out confirms the planned suffocation, and it's shocking. We recently submitted to Parliament a question on the size of the businesses that have been supported by the Recovery Fund. Do you know how many micro-enterprises with up to 10 employees, which constitute 85 to 90% of Greek entrepreneurship, were supported by this very important tool? Make a guess. How many micro-enterprises up to 10 employees, 90% of Greek entrepreneurship, were supported by the Recovery Fund? The total number of enterprises. Anyone want to guess? 7. 7. Total 7. That is a fact and is a political choice. 7 small businesses have received loans in this regard. And the question is, where did the big money go? The 150 big companies that shared low-interest loans amounting to 9.5 billion euros. To large companies, which have access to bank lending, but the invisible hand of power gave them the opportunity to refinance expensive loans with cheap ones, when small and medium enterprises shared around 1.5 billion euro in loans. And in this way, the Resilience Recovery Fund is becoming another missed opportunity for Greece. And for new democracy, frankly, small and medium enterprises are considered to be the root of the dysfunction of the productivity in the economy. But that is not the case. That is simply not the case. Nor do the characteristics of the Greek market differ dramatically from those of the European market. Let's compare apples to apples. 99.9% of Greek entrepreneurship are small and medium enterprises, from 1 to 250 employees. 99.9%. In the EU, the average is 99.8%. Literally apples to apples. 83.5%, almost 84% of employees in Greece are employed in small and medium enterprises. In the EU, the corresponding percentage reaches 65%. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that another path is needed. A course that will start from the strengthening of liquidity, from a fair settlement of private debt with a crucial, important role of the Greek Development Bank, and, of course, a stable and fair tax system, one that doesn't change every 3 months, something that entrepreneurs and businessmen like myself can count on to invest and bring growth with all the rights that laborers need to have a healthy relationship. The proposals of Syriza are targeted and harmonized with the needs of businesses in the current conjuncture. Their proposals part of a program that is far from the wake of the memorandum period, and its philosophy differs dramatically from the obligations created by the external Troika coercion between 2015 and 2019. And we therefore propose tax-free income at 10,000 euro for all, including professionals. Do you know why? Because in this country, with this cost of living, you cannot survive with less than 10,000 euro of income annually. That is the simple truth. We need business bank accounts that will not get foreclosed upon. We need to abolish the trade fee for all. We need a progressive corporate tax rate with a 5% reduction in the rate from 22% to 17% for all businesses with profits up to 220,000 euro annually, which is 97% of businesses in Greece, and a small 2-point increase for those businesses with profits over 220,000 euros, and doing away with the advanced deposit of the corporate income tax. For the settlement of private debt and non-performing loans, we propose the cancellation of part of the basic debt to funds and tax authorities and to adjust to 120 monthly installments the repayment of the remaining amount. We propose the protection of the primary residence, of business property, and certainly agricultural land. And that problem is severe out there in our country right now. The activation of the Greek Development Bank for the purchase of packages of loans, non-performing loans from the funds, aiming at their haircut and regulation. And of course, access of the SMEs to the Resilience and Recovery Fund, European funds, bank lending, microcredit, through a public pillar in the banking system. Dear friends, the Greek government is heading to the European elections with a, let's say, hidden, if not subtle, agenda. During the electoral period, it offered an extension to the submission of tax returns so that professionals do not know what they have to pay before they. Am I lying about this? Was there not an extension for the tax return so that people don't know what they're going to have to pay by the end of June? No, that is a fact. I promise you that as Syriza government will not play these games. We will not manipulate the Greek people before elections. We respect their intelligence. I give you my word, we will not do these things when we're government. Because Greek people deserve better than getting a food pass, a market pass, a tax extension just in time for after the elections. Greek people deserve better. They deserve the truth. New Democracy allows promise the reporting system to drag on in order to conceal the upcoming surcharges before the polls. Filed a truncated medium-term fiscal program concealing the forecast for 26 and 27 coming up and the possible surcharges for this period. And that is all part of an electoral strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost done, and thank you for your patience. It is no exaggeration to say that small and mid-sized enterprises in Europe, especially in Europe, face common issues and problems and challenges. The lack of exclusion from appropriate financing tools, high lending rates, the need to adapt to the new digital era, as Francois mentioned, the cost of the green transition, which indeed, Francois, the Biden administration is way ahead on, because it has a progressive wing in the party that is pushing for this transition to be fair and quick, and it has capital markets to support that. The increased operating costs of businesses, they're all common challenges. Not only for European entrepreneurship, but for the Union itself. And these are not just issues for small businesses. These are issues that affect employment and growth. The European conservative forces have proven, frankly, unable to guarantee modernization. The only thing they guarantee is multi-layered crisis, the economic, demographic, climate crisis. And we're now called upon to overturn them. Because for us, the modern left and the progressive forces, for us, growth is much more than precarious and uneven GDP growth. It's not just a top-line number. It's how that changes the lives of people. And of course, the environment, which will change the lives of people.
I have to ask you to wind up.
Because for us, growth is a path to improving collective well-being, towards a union where everyone can develop their potential freely. Let me conclude the following. There's a photo from 2015, after the crucial EU Council in July of 2015, that captures the hug of François Hollande and Alexis Tsipras after the difficult 17-hour-long negotiations. Tu rappelles. It is a depiction of a Europe that fits us all. It is a depiction of a relationship that has both strong roots and an effort for mediation. An image of support and compromise, a will of solidarity and understanding of the just demand that one party cannot bear the burden of the wider crisis alone. And 9 years later, have we actually forgotten how to walk side by side. 9 years later, can exclusion, hatred, vested interests prevail in Europe? Are we going to let an integral part of the European economy, like the small and middle-sized enterprises, fall off the cliff? No. Think about who we're fighting for, Alexis said. To give Europe stronger foundations and greater possibilities for action for the benefit of the people. For action for the benefit of the people, François said. Totally agreed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.